conversations that connect technology, people, and innovation.
Right. I'd like to welcome us today to another version of NT Talks. Today we welcome Amy Johnston. Amy is the technical marketing manager at one of our platinum partners, Camunda, which is a global leader in process automation and orchestration, as well as agentic AI. Amy brings to the table a unique combination of background with both a bachelor's in English and a bachelor's in management information systems. So she blends that kind of technical expertise along with a certain degree of eloquence and fluency with communication. So thank you, Amy, for joining us. I know that you were born in Texas and raised in Oklahoma and went to University of Oklahoma, and you now play that global role at Camunda in cross-cultural dynamics and leading conversations about the cutting-edge topics like AI and process orchestration. It's great to have you on NT Talks. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me a little bit more about your early influences. I understand you were born in Texas, raised in Oklahoma. What aspects of your upbringing sort of brought about this interest in technology and in writing and communication?
Yeah, so I was a reader from birth. I was one of those kids who you couldn't get a book out of my hands. So I always loved reading. And once I started learning how to write, that really played into a love for writing. But I was fortunate. My parents were pretty early adopters of the internet. So now really going to date myself. But I think I was around maybe 14 when we got our first, something that's not normal today, but the one shared family computer and our dial-up modem with the wonderful noise that it made. And something else that we got that was normal back then, but not normal these days, is a little bit of web space on our ISP's a web server they owned. And I immediately got interested in building a website, just talking about my interests. And then, of course, the internet really blew up. I was on GeoCities and Angel Fire and then MySpace later. And all of that really got me interested in technology. I loved that I could write some code and then see what it made on the screen. And I could change it and see that it changed something on the screen. Like that act of being able to build a thing and see it on the computer just really got me interested. And so when I made it to university, I knew I wanted to do something related to writing, but my parents were hoping I would do something that would land me a job. So that overlap of interest in technology and interest in writing worked really well. And yeah, after university, I went into technical writing and then have made my way through my career to technical marketing.
So while you were doing all that, playing on the computers and creating the webs and doing that, it sounds like you still had time to read and appreciate language.
I did, yeah. Yeah, and I also had a lot of youthful energy. I still try to make reading a priority these days because I think we all know in your adult life, sometimes work and family and all your obligations can get in the way. But I set a reading goal every year. I'm still an avid reader. It's really important for me and my, let's say, mental well-being, as well as just my exercising my brain.
There's something about that combination, right, of reading and having some quiet time and to appreciate language, but then also being in the technology field and getting to do what's exciting out there in the world as well. So it's kind of an inner world and an outer world. It's a nice balance, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Today, I know you work at Camunda, which is a German company with a global presence. Any key cultural or professional learnings that you've discovered, working across borders? I know you also, I think, spent some time in the Netherlands, or I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. So I lived in the Netherlands for 13 years, and there I worked for a lot of Dutch companies, but really the technology market in the Netherlands is very international. So I was working with people from Eastern and Western Europe, from India, China, South Africa, other Americans, really people from all over the world. And yeah, Camunda, probably nationality-wise, we're probably still mostly German, just because the company's German roots, but we're also quite international and physically distributed around the world as an all-remote company. And I really enjoy it. I unsurprisingly didn't have a lot of international encounters growing up in a place like Oklahoma and being in school and everything. So I've learned a lot. What I really love, and I see this in action all the time at Camunda, is how different international backgrounds and perspectives bring this culture of finding different ways to solve problems. Most of the time at work, we're all basically basically trying to solve the same problems. We all have a shared goal. We want to sell Camunda and get our customers using Camunda and being successful with Camunda. But there's a million different ways that we could potentially do that. And the international experience of different folks who've sold in different markets is really helpful in finding creative ways to solve problems. And I really enjoy that.
I think in today's international business world, right, there's so much cross-cultural. NT Consult, as you know, is a Brazilian company working in both North America and Latin America, and then with a German partner, and sometimes across the pond, so to speak. So, there's a lot of that. And I too find it very enjoyable, the different folks that we get to interact with and the different languages. It does make for an interesting amalgam of perspectives. What are some of the biggest challenges in translating some of the technical concepts you have at Camunda with the business process owners and others? Because again, we know that blend of technical, some of the programmers can get very involved, right? But now we need to communicate that with the business owners. How have you found that challenge, and even in talking to your own leaders?
Yeah, it is interesting because Camunda has a background of being a very developer-friendly product made for technical people solving technical problems, but ultimately they are business problems. So we do sometimes have a challenge that the things that differentiate Camunda, that set Camunda apart from other automation tools, you can get into the weeds really quickly where you're talking about very, very specific technical concepts that are very exciting for the technical folks in the room, the developers, the enterprise architects, etc., but can kind of leave the business behind a little bit. So I think one of the biggest challenges is getting over that initial set of assumptions that people make about an automation tool. Everybody comes with something in their mind that they think it probably kind of works like this, or we kind of maybe build a process like this. And sometimes those assumptions are wrong. So you kind of have to get over that hurdle, get on the same page, and then you can really start talking about delivering business value. Of course, with Camunda, we're deep into the BPMN and DMN standards for process modeling and decision modeling. And BPMN is really helpful for helping people get over the hump. There's still a lot of detail behind like what makes a BPMN process actually executable. But when you start building something out and it looks like a flow chart and we know we're talking process, that starts to feel very natural for people. And for a lot of business owners, I think being able to model the process and being able to edit a process model themselves is probably about as far as they need to go. They don't necessarily need to know the details about ZB doing event streaming and running on Kubernetes and that kind of thing. As long as it's running, they're happy. The flowchart view helps a lot.
Yeah, I think the business process modeling notation that you use, the standardization, makes it much more accessible to the business process owners, right? And to map that out. But I think that at Camunda, you have a unique leadership group and a number of engineers who also have a way of making it very accessible and fun. I remember watching I can't remember the bot battle, or you will, the business process modeling notation battle with your CEO and Niall, and that was just terrific. And it's tackling a process, but also making it fun, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. It's true of a lot of Camunda leadership, and also we have some engineers who are just great at translating technical concepts. They're not always the most visible because usually they're having one-to-one conversations at a CamundaCon or a Camunda local, but I'm blown away by their talent in, communicating these really technical things that they've built in a way that helps people understand. It's awesome. Actually, Camunda is really a company of communicators, and that's very inspiring to me.
Yes, I've met a lot of engineers, and I think the Camunda engineers have been particularly impressive at articulating with eloquence what's going on in the industry, so that's great. A big topic right now we know is agentic AI and making AI agents that are sort of enterprise accessible and enterprise useful and enterprise auditable. So as we get into financial services or other telecom or insurance or somewhere where there's a lot of regulation, it's very important. Can you talk a little bit to us about enterprise AI agents and what's going on at Camunda now with that?
Yeah, definitely. So we have seen this very fast rise of popularity of AI agents in processes to execute tasks. Every chatbot is sort of now an agent. The downside of that is that this technology is moving very quickly. People are really excited about it, but it doesn't always have the guardrails around it that it needs. And it's inherently unpredictable because you're involving large language models and AI algorithms and everything. So something that we talked about at CamundaCon just a couple of weeks ago is the idea of enterprise-grade agents. So agents that are ready to go into your enterprise processes, what we call core business processes, which I like to explain as the processes that build and sell your products and services. So the stuff that it really matters, your customers see it, it can't break, it has to be super reliable, and now you can introduce AI into it. What that means is AI agent that does what it's supposed to do, when it's supposed to do it. It has guardrails that are both configurable and visible. So it's not just that I can configure the guardrails, but that other people can see what they are, and we can also change them over time, and that it is fully auditable. So I always think of governance as all the things that you build beforehand, and then obviously audit is looking back at what has happened. Camunda is in a great position to be able to do this because all of those aspects already exist for everything in a process that is not AI. So, being able to see process instances as they run in our operate component, being able to see how they performed, like looking back at historical data in our optimize component, and then having detailed audit logs if there are situations where you need to dig in really deep. So we had all of that built in. Being able to apply that to AI agents was just not that difficult. And the other advantage there is that you're looking at it all in the same place. So you build an AI agent inside a process in Camunda. When you go look at that process, you're looking at the process and the agent. When you're looking at your performance data, they're together. So we don't have a sort of separated AI agent capability or components. It's all built into the way that you build processes in Camunda, which I think is really important because this idea of agents being in processes is probably going to be just more and more organic. We'll talk about it the same way we talk about making a REST call or running a business rule or doing any other thing we normally do in processes. It's just some parts of the process involve AI.
It's embedded in the end-to-end process, and it's got also a human element when necessary to check and to audit and to look at. So, and it's reliable and it's scalable and all of those things that make it enterprise useful, if you will.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think probably everyone is going to try to get to this point because everyone wants to sell AI agents. But we were just fortunate at Camunda that our product is already sort of set up that way. Also, a big reason that Camunda is very popular with banks, financial services institutions, insurance companies, etc., because we have those governance and audit capabilities for everything. So extending that to agents has worked really well.
So I would imagine at the upcoming, I think you just had the CamundaCon, just finished that. I was there as well. It was terrific. And I think the next upcoming event is Money 2020, which is at the end of month here in Las Vegas. And I think you'll have a team there, if I'm not mistaken. Rodrigo Scaldaferri and others will be there. And so I think, what will they be talking about, or what might they be sharing at Money 2020?
Yeah, so they'll definitely be talking about the enterprise grade agent stuff. They are ready to demo it. We have some cool demos that we prepared for CamundaCon, but also plenty of demos of other AI capabilities like co-pilots, or honestly, if you're not into AI or agents at all, it's still worth coming by because we have plenty of demos and also customer stories to talk about that don't involve AI. It's unsurprisingly, like everybody, we're talking AI agents and how you can build them and deploy them and manage them. But we've also got plenty to talk about that is outside of AI. Financial services is Camunda's biggest industry in terms of our customers. So we have banks all over the world that we can share their lessons learned, their success stories, what they did with Camunda, which I think always helps people understand what's possible.
That's great. Well, we at NT Consult also specialize in financial services, and we'll be there right across, I think, the aisle from you. Our booth is 9076. I'm not sure of yours, but I know we're right nearby, so we look forward to seeing the team there. Now, to sort of shift gears, if you think about sort of a future vision and inspiration, and maybe even, as others, the younger generation coming up, what advice might you give to someone who's just entering the world of tech, and especially those who maybe don't come from a traditional, computer science background? They're not a programmer, but any ideas or any input for that? Because obviously technology is just a huge part of the future.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really different different from when I entered the professional workforce, that now it's basically non-optional to know something about technology, kind of no matter what your work is. And we've seen more and more people not having something like the full-on 4-year computer science degree working in the world of software, which is amazing. And I think one of the things that I always encourage people to do is cultivate a sense of curiosity. Your job is always going to be easier and more fun if you're curious about it, if you're pushing yourself to learn. My first career, my background as a technical writer influenced me in that way because I wanted to be able to answer questions myself. I didn't want to always have to go to a software developer to answer a question. Now, it's very important to not be afraid to ask questions and get it in your head that there's no such thing as a stupid question, but people love it and love to work with you if you ask a question and you learn the answer and you're able to use that answer again in the future, which sounds so simple, but people really, really value it. So for me, those things like a sense of curiosity and like really absorbing the things that you learn and applying them, it's probably just generally good life advice, but it will definitely help you in the world of technology.
I have to agree with you. Again, it's curiosity. It's appreciating new things and learning new things from others. And we don't all have to be engineers, right? We can just talk to them and learn a piece of what they do and really enjoy that and then help them apply it, whether it be in marketing, in sales, or in a whole host of areas, right? And there's a lot of room for those of us that enjoy talking and enjoy sharing ideas that could still work in the field of technology. So that's a nice plus. Well, I really appreciate having you on NT Talks and you sharing your perspective. Before we go, just like a last comment, I think that Camunda was recently recognized by Gartner as a visionary platform in the context of business orchestration, automation, and AI. Do you want to share a little bit about what's coming there?
Yeah, definitely. So Gartner has just released their first ever Magic Quadrant and critical capabilities for business orchestration and automation technologies, which is commonly known as BOAT. This is a new market category that they announced last year, and now they've published the MQ and the critical capabilities. Camunda was placed as a visionary, which is incredibly exciting. I highly recommend folks check out their report because it actually has detailed profiles of Camunda and the other vendors that were ranked in the Magic Quadrant. It's very interesting because this MQ and the whole BOAT category was a reaction to vendors in the market introducing products with overlapping automation capabilities. So it really reflects the way that we've seen the market change over the past 5 years or so between low code, RPA, and now AI sort of blanketing everything. So yeah, on Friday, we'll have copies of that report available for download for anyone who's at Money 2020. We'll have a QR code on our booth where you can scan to download your own copy. But yeah, it's very exciting to be recognized that way.
It is a very exciting time, and there's lots of new things, and there's lots of unknowns, and there's lots of uncertainties, and the ROI of it can sometimes get a little bit tricky. But I think the negative ROI of not investing your time there and not beginning to explore can be much more costly, right? So I think it's time.
Definitely. That's a great point.
Yeah, it's time to learn. It's time to engage. It's time to try, right? Now, we have to do that being careful. We have to watch the guardrails, but we've got to enjoy and we've got to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is an exciting time to do it because there are so many tools out there that can help us sort of do that. And at Camunda, we're having a really good time helping our customers sort of explore and experiment, and then also helping them get into production with AI stuff, which is, their board of directors goals, their leaders goals, but also something that we hope will improve their business, make their employees' lives better, make their customers' lives better. So I think it's going to be an exciting next 6 to 12 months as we see where things go.
Thank you so much for your time. Continue to take the English language and combine it with technology because both of them offer a degree of poetry. So let's enjoy, and thank you again.
All right, thanks a lot.
Sounds good. Thank you.
NT Consult. Great people coding the future.